Welcome into this episode of Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff with you. Good to have you along. This episode brought to you by Titan Title, and we're joined by head coach of the Ponca City football team, Justin Rowland. And Coach, always good to come off and talk to you after a rivalry win, as you guys were able to get 2 rivalry wins this year against Enid. And then what a dramatic game. I think the people will be talking about this one for a long time over in Bartlesville.
Yeah, no, it was a good one. Always going to be physical. I think always going to be tight scoring. A couple plays going to be the difference in the game, and good to come out there with a win.
All right, the first thing I want to mention is Javi. I mean, it was one of those, he gets hurt, you have the long pause. We're worried about getting the game in with Lightning coming up as well. But he gets injured. It's a devastating type injury that you guys can see there on the field. The kids can clearly see it and all that. So you have this long pause, and it seemed like there was some shock from everybody. You get back on the field and just never got anything going. But it seemed like as the game progressed, it seemed like the battle cry, let's do it for Javi, kind of kept going. And that's what the kids talking to them wanted to do. They wanted to win for Javi.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it always hurts when it's a kid like Javi and he's loved by everybody on the team. He's a relentless worker. Javi sacrificed a lot just to be out there and play football. We lost him most of last year. And then he's got younger brothers on the team that are emotional. So it was an emotional moment, and it was one of those things that you can't practice. You can't prepare for something like that to happen. But I thought the kids rebounded well. I thought they fought well. It obviously hurt us in that drive because if you remember, it was like a 60-yard drive.
Yeah, y'all were moving.
Yeah, and we were going to go in and score. So it was a rough situation, but the kids rallied together and came out with it.
How's Javi doing?
He's doing good. He had a pretty significant break, spent a couple days in Tulsa. He's home now, and everybody's taking care of him. I just pray that he's able to get back and finish up his throwing career because he's a really good thrower.
Yeah, all right. And then you always have to have somebody step up. And I think Logan was like, he knew when he went down, it may be my turn. He gets his number called. How did he play out there?
He did good. Talking to Coop said the first couple drives he was nervous, and then he settled in. They're at second half on. And it's funny because they'd start moving a couple of those guys up to the varsity during practice, start rotating and working in. Because Blaze, of course, Blaze will be gone. Javi will be gone, and so you're going to fill those roles anyway. And I think Zim stepped in and did good. I think he's ready. I think when you have a young group of kids that have played together forever, that little separation is tough on them, and he's been fighting hard, and he'll be ready to go.
All right, got to ask how the events went for the 2-point conversion, because a lot of times people are going to kick the extra point in that situation. Did Graham say, hey, I got a 2-point conversion, let's do it now? Was it just your decision? Ultimately, it is your decision, but what made you want to go for 2 in that situation?
So it's funny. I get to play against our offense every day, so there's certain things that they do that we really struggle with stopping. And I know when we're running the ball, we're going to have places where we can pass the ball. So it really was never a thought for me. Like, it was just, hey, we're going for it, Sometimes I'll have him get a play ready to let him know, hey, short yardage, we're going to go for it. But really, it was no hesitation. I kind of thought, we're on the road. The momentum keeps going back and forth, Hey, let's go try and win the game, and they executed well.
Yeah, and for Graham, you always have that 2-point conversion in your back pocket that is going to work, it seems like. And that is exactly the case. Kind of Lance getting lost back in the back shuffle, and give Johnson credit. He kind of had to throw him open, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The kid, so if you'll remember the Lawton game, we ran the same play, but they hit the other guy dragging. And it's just one of those plays where when they're all crammed in there like that and they're running the ball at you so efficiently, your eyes are going to naturally go inside. And then the kid actually messed up and stayed in the way, and so Johnson had to make a good pass outside. But like I said, it's a play that I know we can execute, and they did it. They did it in Lot Mac, and that was going to be thing in Lawton Mac, we don't fumble the ball.
Right.
We're going to go for 2 right away. So it just worked out for us.
And it puts pressure on the other team because now they know they got to score. And, we forget, you go for 2. That's what people are going to remember. But your defense had to go out there and get a stop afterwards. And they had a capable field goal kicker. So it's not just stopping them. I mean, I was sitting there worried, they're going to lose another close one off a field goal if they're not careful. But the defense, once they got the midfield, really stepped up and was able to get that stop.
No, yeah, for sure. And I always want our kids to be in attack mode. Like, we'll never play defense and just be defensive. If we can go win a game or we can go impose our will on a game, we will. And I think it's always better when you're pressuring somebody. Make the hard decisions on them. Really, like I said, to me, that wasn't a very hard decision. Win or lose, you're going to go for the win.
All right. Defense, too. Adriel Moore, I thought played out his mind. That 4th down stop that he had where you hit that kid on your sideline was unbelievable. And then Donovan Harjo, you found his natural position at end. He's playing like a man out of his mind.
He is. Donovan's one of those kids that when you roll off the bus, you want him to get off first. He's an imposing kid, physical kid, can run, can do pretty much anything. And, he played a big part on the offense, and we wanted to give him a go at defensive end. And he's exactly that. He's going to command attention. And so the young guys behind him, those young linebackers, it opens it up for them. And then Adriel's been playing well all year, had to have a big game. Knew the scramble was going to be a part of it, so we talked about staying with our receivers, but he has a knack for coming up and kind of knowing where he needs to show up, and he did it a lot.
All right, one thing I feel like you guys want to work on next couple of weeks is your special teams.
Mm-hmm.
We've had some plays in special teams, but Tucker and the whole rhythm and everything of the field goal unit, it's fine when you have an extra point, but it's not seemed to working on the field goal, so I know you're working on that. But it seemed like you did find something on the punts last week with Hondo. I thought he punted well.
Yeah, we once again, like I said, putting brand new guys in there. I think the punt unit we graduated last year, those kids that played that position for 3 years straight, So we knew it was going to be a little different, but we put in a little rugby, and we shift a lot anyway. So we put in that rugby, and it kind of plays into what Hondo already does. He's a really good soccer player. And thank God we did it, because we kind of needed it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So that brings us to games coming up, and you can't hide it on film. You always are going to say, hey, don't let them upset you. That's what you do as a coach. But these kids know they outmatch the opponents that are coming up. That being said, how important is it to go out there and execute properly with that first team with the limited minutes more than likely they're going to have to play? I mean, it's important to keep yourself sharp these 2 weeks heading into playoffs.
Yeah, it's pivotal, and you're gonna work on things for not just the end of this year, but maybe even next year, So it's really important. Not something we have to stress to our kids very much. We practice really hard, and I think that helps us too. Like yesterday, we had a great practice. Worked really hard, worked our full practice. But I always go back to honoring the game and respecting the game. And just because you feel like you may be playing an inferior opponent, you still respect the game. So what does that mean? We work hard. We do things right. We execute, and we make sure we control our emotions and act like we've been there before.
Another thing interesting with these games coming up, a lot of times when you get to this time of year, you don't know with a playoff situation. Now, we don't know the exact playoff situation, but it seems like we're about 90%, 95% confident we know who the opponent on the other side is going to be. So how, as coaches, do you kind of manage that, knowing what's coming up? I mean, do you start taking a look early? Do you start scouting a little bit? Or do you just kind of focus on each week? Or do you assign somebody maybe to do a little bit of advanced scouting?
Yeah, we have a Thursday night game this week, so we could definitely go watch them. The opponent you're talking about, Southmore, and we've seen them quite a bit on film already. But talking with Coach Kaywood at Stillwater, he said that district's really tight, and so all the teams are competitive, but we'll definitely start looking at some of that film. And then, like I said, part of these next 2 weeks will be building things and getting things ready for a setting like that.
Yeah, and you're not going to wear that with the kids. That's on you coaches, right? Because these kids need to focus on the game at hand. But
Yeah.
you coaches can, just like us media members, can look a little bit. You may not be telling the kids you're doing it, but you are doing it because ultimately you want to get the win and move on in the playoffs.
No, absolutely, and they're pretty sharp. They'll. Well, what is this personnel? What are we doing here? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? And so they have an idea. But, yeah, I mean, it's a coach's thing. And like I said, Coach Snelding, he's a planner, So he definitely wants the tape, definitely going to look at the tape. And for us, the same as well. And we play a lot of common opponents, so it's pretty easy tape to get.
Yeah, and interesting, too, you look at the playoffs. They're playing two of the top teams in the district. You guys are playing two of the bottoms. So we talk about that momentum side of things, right? And I mean, going into the Sapulpa game, for instance, you guys had played the tough part, and then Sapulpa hadn't. They kind of had a little momentum heading into that game where you guys maybe didn't. So these next two games are a great chance to maybe build some momentum heading into the playoffs.
For sure. Graham said it going into Sapulpa. He's like, man, there's a big difference in coming off of 2 wins and coming off of 2 losses, and you could have easily said that you seen that against Sapulpa, but for sure, the way the schedule shakes out for them, they got hammers, their last 2 games, and those teams will be competing for higher positions in the playoffs as well, so they're not just going to throw a team out there and just say, hey, let's get through this game. So it'll be tough on them, and they may be a little beat up coming into it, but should be fun. It'd be fun to see how it shakes out.
All right. Got to ask, what was the bus ride home like? You've won that Bartlesville game before. I remember a really exciting game when you guys had some bad years, weren't going to be playoff teams. When you're defensive coordinator, I think 18-19 around that area.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember that was the one win that season for Ponca when they won that game, whatever year that was. And then, 2021 you played. You haven't played them because of the district. You played them last year, and then you play them again this year. So it's been a while since that trophy, 4 years since it's been home. So what was it like getting that trophy as a head coach, and what was that bus ride home like?
It was fun. I guess their coaches had a lot to say about it. We didn't really talk about it very much. I did in our intro to Bartlesville. We put a picture of them kissing the trophy on our slideshow, so a little motivation, but it was good. Bus ride home for us. I like the kids being professional. I like them being locked in. So it wasn't too rowdy, but it was a physical long game too. So they were pretty worn out. But it's exciting, man, that the kids passing the trophy around. It's always good coming off of a W.
Yeah, and you beat both your rivals this year.
Yeah.
I mean, as a head coach, that's pretty good, right?
That is.
That.
It's funny. I was telling them there's a couple schools on our schedule that there's just always going to be a rivalry and kind of bad blood, if you will, and it'll always be Enid, Beeville, and Stillwater for me. And so it was fun. I think you got a lot of family connections and ties and ConocoPhillips ties. So it's a fun one for sure.
Yeah, and to win it in that way. I mean, as a coach, you like to win games and you're not sweating at the end. But at the same time, once you get that win, you look back, it was like, yeah, I wouldn't have done it either way. It's funny. I was with Graham before the game, sitting there talking on the sideline, and we were talking about, expectations all the time. And I go, people want a blowout. But at the end of the day, as a coach, all that matters is having one more point in them. And that's the way it ended up.
There's no doubt. And I think, to be honest, there was a point in the game where I think we went up, 7-16. I thought, man, maybe, hey, yeah, we could go ahead and put it away. And, of course, they fought back and had some situations in the game where they came back. But it's never going to be easy. So if you can go into the game and the kids understand that, they perform really well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I bet you, Colt, you guys have talked to him about holding on to that football a little better, right? Because that was a little scary there at the 3-yard line, wasn't it?
I'll tell you what, there's actually been a lot of them kind of plays in football this year where the goal line comes into play. And I think Colt's one of those kids that, man, he in the moment, he's trying to make a play.
Yeah, right.
If there is a mistake made, it's not on purpose. But for sure, Graham hit him with the ball security, and just hopefully he keeps making plays.
No, Colt is making a lot of plays, but I thought you could sell on the sideline when he dropped that ball and the ball went out of bounds. You could just see the sigh of relief. Even though I was far away, you could just see, oh my word, this about happened. And I know it was the same for the coaches. So
oh yeah, no doubt. Like because they still can't pick it up. They can't possess it before it goes out of bounds. And then when it went out of bounds, it's like, oh goodness gracious. big play about turning into chaos.
Well, and I joke. It's funny talking to all the kids. Talked to Arbona earlier, and I was like, "Hey, you knew that play was going to work. What was going through your mind?" He's like, "Don't drop it. Don't drop." What I'm saying,
Yeah.
that's what.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing is like we got to realize these are kids, and I'm glad they finally got a great moment. And once again, I told them all that's going to be a moment they'll carry the rest of their life with a big win like that over Bartlesville.
No, absolutely. And especially for a kiddo like Lance. Lance had a heck of a year, and it's crazy to think that he's been here for 4 years now, but it was big for him and big for the team.
Yep. So, and then we're praying for Javi, of course, hoping he does well. And, I know that it's kind of, in a way, galvanized, it seems like, the team, because they said it's not just Bartlesville. It seems like they say, we want to play for Javi going forward.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, Javi's a leader. He's a leader, and more importantly, he's a kid that does things right every day. And they're going to rally behind him. His brothers are, deep in our thoughts, but Javi's going to be there. I'm sure he'll be on the sideline Thursday night.
If he can be there, he will. So, and Halloween game, you guys moved up Thursday. I think Capitol Hill, though, always been kind of Halloween week, always been on Thursday, but hey, what's your Halloween plans? I mean, you dressing up since you got Halloween off?
It's funny
or you gonna go scout?
Well, I got Autumn. She's in 5th grade, so she still does the dress up and wants to go get candy. So this year we'll actually get to do it. So we're pretty excited.
All right. So, any scary movies? You watching scary
movies? I don't do scary movies. I don't dress up too much, but actually, it's funny. Autumn went as me to school yesterday. I have to send you a picture.
I need to see that. So, what was your best ever Halloween costume?
Man, I think the best thing me and my brother used to do is just get a mask, get a pillowcase, get on our bikes, take off,
terrorize the neighborhood,
and then come home. And my mom's big on giving out candy, so she'll give out candy and she'll tally up all the visitors she has. So it's a pretty cool day for us.
Okay, very good. Well, enjoy it. So since you get it off, so and being on Friday, you guys are able to enjoy that as well. So I want to say thanks to Chris behind the camera. That's going to do it for this episode of Coach's Corner. It's been brought to you by Titan Title. Coach, appreciate the time.
Thanks for having
me.
me.
Jordan Woodruff saying so long for Justin Rowland. Until next time, go Cats.